Hi everyone, hello.
Welcome to Wednesday's Musical QuaranStream. We're happy to have you here. I'm Bri.
And I am Glenn.
And we've been doing this thing for about 2.5 months.
Yes.
We just keep on going. So now we've reached Disney Week.
Hooray!
We're going to have 2 weeks devoted to Disney musicals. I think all of us grew up on Disney in some form or some fashion. I know, like, when we were in about, like, middle school, that was kind of the big renaissance of all the things you see on Broadway now, Beauty and the Beast and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we thought, what would be fun to see next? Disney pretty much owns all of Broadway, so just like we kind of pitched jukebox musicals and movie musicals, we thought, why not look at the Disney franchise and see what comes next?
Yes, and let's see, we've got Jenny has checked in with us already. Nice to see you there.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we've seen much theater or done much theater. It's been a week. Yeah. I've had to go to the office. We just got our internet fixed just today.
Yes.
We're using stable internet, so hopefully we will be connected for the whole stream. We won't have any technical issues.
It's been pretty solid.
Knock on wood.
Yes.
So we're really, really hoping that this will be the new normal and we'll be able to get videos posted regularly to our YouTube and start showing ads again and all the things that we really like to share with you guys as well.
Yes.
I did download some musicals today to listen to while I do some data reduction. Mm-hmm. So I was getting some Pasek and Paul musicals on my phone. Mm-hmm.
We did write something for the Quarantine Bake Off.
Yeah, and successfully submitted it. So
yes.
Hey.
Have not heard anything yet about, like, has it been selected or anything. Bristol is checked in. Hi, Bristol.
We're hoping. We like it. I mean, like, that's kind of the problem with, I think, your own writing is, I don't know, I like my own writing.
You know, it was the first time that we have ever, like, written something together.
That's true. Like,
we're two writers, we spend all of our time together, and we've never actually sat down to write anything together.
And I only critiqued him 3 times.
Yes. and it was a pretty good process. I think we worked together pretty smoothly.
Yeah, it was fun. Basically, I think, let's try to remember the ingredients. I remember a peach.
Yes, a peach.
A goodbye.
A goodbye. A tree growing.
A sword fight.
Sword fight was extra credit.
Yeah. No, we always count extra credit as real things in this house.
All right.
Plus student.
A misconception.
Misconception.
And let's see.
I think there was one more.
Tree growing, peach, sword fight, misconception, goodbye. There was one more, yes.
I think there was one more. We're not remembering it, but it's in there.
Yes.
So basically, I think the gist of our story is we both worked retail. I just applied to work a retail position while I'm being furloughed. So, yay! I pretty much have the job, I guess they said. So I'll be earning an income while I won't be working my real job. I don't know the way the world works now. It's crazy. That sounds bananas at almost 40 years old. I'm going back to the job that I worked at when I was a teenager. Nothing wrong with it. It's working at the Starbucks down the street, free coffee, stock options. Hey. And hopefully I'll be able to kind of manage like a job and a half because we certainly need a lot of things fixed up around here. Despite it being new construction, there's a lot of storage we need.
Yeah, and I did a bit of standardized patienting this past few days.
But anyways, back to the play.
Yeah.
We'll get to life stuff in a little bit. I got us distracted. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But we wrote about a retail job environment because we both worked retail jobs. About a guy our age.
Yeah.
We're learning that the older we get, the more we write our own age. Yeah. We don't write. Like, we had to start there, like, do we want to write a 26-year-old? And we're like, wait, we're not 26 anymore. No, we want to write something we can be in. So, a guy our age, trying to make his way at a smoothie shop and having to deal with his manager and then the manager next door and a tree.
Yeah, and a tree. Yeah, so, and we can tell them the title, can't we? The title is The Ballad of Peach Pit, The Dancing Peach.
Yes. And we wrote a song, but we didn't include music, so it's whatever you think it is.
Yes.
Only wild horses will tear it from our lips,
yes.
or if, we happen to see you in the near future and it's still stuck in our heads.
Yes, and you just ask us politely, we'll probably belt it right out. But,
but we had to include a, formalized recording of anything that was a song, and we just said,
we were just like, you know what, they can come up with their own tune.
Yeah. And about halfway through, the guy gets exhausted and tired and hot, so we're like, it's a lot of tuneless humming. Yes. So, but it was about 13 pages.
Yeah.
The max was 15, so hopefully it'll be up on their website. If it's not picked, if it is picked, we will let everybody know, because we want you to watch it. And it just is another thing that's going to go into the whole Fringe Festival that happens after the quarantine. My other grand idea when it comes to theater is I built a little stage in Animal Crossing. I built a little theater, an outdoor theater, and I really want to do a play. I want to invite everybody from all your other little islands to come and do a play, and I'll costume you. I'll gift you costumes. And we were talking about Midsummer Night's Dream, or maybe just a section of Midsummer Night's Dream, and I don't know. That's my other dream right now, to do some virtual theater. I feel like that's going to be kind of what we have to do for a little bit, and a lot of people have been experimenting with different types of VR. Why not Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
They're cute. It's a small little stage. I really want to see something done with it. But getting back to your career and your life, after all of our dreams of writing and playing Animal Crossing.
Yes. I did some standardized patienting these past few days, which, it's an acting role. It's basically doctors need to be able to, practice and figure out how to speak to patients.
Empathy, communication, all that really good stuff that you really need to have a doctor. And also, doctors get used to getting a collection of symptoms and being able to correctly diagnose it. So while they have all these social things that are really important, because we want to be able to trust our doctors, we want our doctors to be able to, tell us in our own terms, what we need to know and how we need to treat ourselves and what's kind of our best prognosis. It's also, they're all young doctors, so they're going from med school pretty much to their residencies as the next step, or their fellowships. And so they have to know, from this collection of symptoms, it's most likely bleh.
Yes.
And Glenn was telling me a little bit about his thing, and I kind of got it. But I just, my favorite one, and I'm not going to break any confidentiality, but one of the people focused on smoking cessation, because they're like, oh no, you smoke. And that's all they talked about. And they're like, but all these other symptoms. So while it was very lovely that the person was kind and compassionate and caring for their patient's health, that wasn't the prompt. So, that's the kind of work that Glenn is doing. It's helping people to see the forest for the trees, and to help people get to essentially go out there and fight COVID for us. So we really appreciate them, and we wish them the biggest amount of success, because being a doctor is hard.
And it's always a lot of fun. It's, you're given a profile of what what your patient has for symptoms, how they're going to answer this question, that question, that question. And then the doctor comes in, the doctor in training comes in, sits down, and they conduct an interview with you as though you are a patient. And see, I'm explaining all of this to her because she's sitting next to me. She's actually done it herself, so she knows all about it already.
I did it at Edward Via in Blacksburg.
Yes. But they conduct the interview as though they're a normal doctor talking to a normal patient, and it's interesting because you learn that the way the doctors are trained, there's things that they are expected to do in the interview, but there definitely is not a script, and no two encounters are ever exactly alike. So.
And they all score, for the most part, really fairly high. I mean, I think that's what's really kind of nice about the places where we were both standardized patients, is there's not anybody where you're just oh no, that kid's going to fail. I mean, everybody is pretty much there. I think that the training that they've gone through, it's been 3 or 4 years. It takes a lot of time and studying of anatomy and physiology and symptomology and microbiology, all these really strong hard sciences, and to know that we've gotten some fairly great doctors being tested on us as their exam, it's really kind of cool. And what's really kind of nice about it as well is when you do kind of like sit for your certification, your medical license and everything, like standardized patients are really what helps people from bombing that.
Yeah.
You know, so we were always told like, you don't want to be very nice to them because if they take a $3,000 like sitting licensing and they fail, like you did not help them. So you really have to be very honest about that. I didn't feel connected. You didn't listen to me or anything like that. So it's really a great job. And, you sometimes get fed, which is nice, and you get paid, which is nice. So.
This time around, we were standardized patienting from home, so they didn't feed us. We had to feed ourselves, but you know.
That'd be nice if they like bought you a pizza and just showed up like an hour later, and you're just like, what?
Hey, what's going on here? Oh man.
We're just really, really happy that both of Glen's acting jobs are still essentially paying him and finding him work, and it could always be worse. So
yes, and I just realized I'm like, this is where we are in the quarantine so far. We started out doing this thing with pints of wine each.
Yes.
And now we're down to like, I'm going to have a lovely seltzer to drink while we're doing the show tonight.
Yeah, we're not feeling our best. we're going for drinking some more water.
Yes.
I've been sitting for the past couple days, and I'm just like, it hurts when I sit. It hurts when I stand. Getting old is not for wimps.
No.
So anyway, let's talk about Disney's Descendants franchise.
Yes.
Talking about getting old. There's no segue. I'm sorry. There's just like no relation to this.
We are both of us getting old, and yet the entertainment we enjoy most is still the stuff that's aimed at people between the ages of 13 and 16. So,
well, I just always think it's funny because when Descendants 1 came out, my cousin had kids, and she had 2 little girls, and they were dancing to it. They loved it. I mean, they were like little. Yeah. They were like, I don't know, 5 and 2 or 5 and 1 or something, really young. And anyway, she was like, she knew all the songs because that's all they would listen to. That's all they would watch. You know, there's a whole toy line. And I'm like, I don't know how to broach the topic. Like, I really love it, and I know all the songs. And, you know, if you weren't in Georgia, I would babysit, and we would like do a whole production number. It would be like the Von Trapp family. It'd be great. But it's really kind of weird as somebody who has taught kids in the past, but does not have kids, but really unironically loves it. And I know a lot of like my friends and our friends who are parents like it as well. Like your friend who's a music teacher who was from Bristol as well, she loves it. So I'm like, and the reason why I got into it is the very first one had Kathy and Jimmy and Kristen Chenoweth and like really famous like Broadway people, and Mark Shaman wrote some of the lyrics, who's a really famous Broadway lyricist. I was like, I gotta watch this. And the thing you have to know about Descendants movies is 2 things. Number 1, it features all the Disney heroes and villains. They have kids. And that's very similar to, like, another franchise that's, like, Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
Which there was a doll that I used from that as, like, for Winter's Tale, when we did Winter's Tale for the story.
Yes.
So there was another kind of franchise coming out at the same time. Disney's like, well, let's get in on this. And so there's this whole made-up world of the next generation of Disney heroes and villains.
Yep.
And you would assume all the villains' kids are really villainous and evil, and you'd be right. But they're also good.
Yes, because, okay, so we have, basically, it's all set in this fictional land of Auradon. And you have, basically, mainland Auradon, which is all these, all the good people. So, like, you have the daughter of Snow White, the daughter of Cinderella. You have the son of Belle and the Beast. You have whatever the Beast's name is when he's human. I don't know. As soon as he stopped being a beast, who was interested in him? Let's be honest.
And to be honest, they still call him like Beast.
Yeah, and but see, in that world, of course, you have all of the villains as well. Well, all of the villains were defeated. So they have the Isle of the Lost, which is a little island off the coast.
Alcatraz.
Yeah. It's basically like
magic.
If you going full geek here, if you're familiar with Batman No Man's Land, where, like, Gotham gets so overrun with crime and there's a natural disaster that makes it hard to supply Gotham. So they just, like, dynamite the bridge and turn all of Gotham into a prison camp. That's basically the Isle of the Lost. There's, like, one bridge that connects them. There's a magical shield over it. And all of the villains... Prince Adam is the name of the beast. Thank you, Jenny. But there's, like, all of the villains are on the island, which I always thought was hilarious because in the very first episode, there's, like, fruit cart owners and operators on the island in one musical number, and I was like, what did they do to get put on the island with all of the, like, worst of the worst? They've got Captain Hook and Ursula running around on the island. What did the guy with the fruit cart do?
Yeah, and then, like... Okay, and then it moved... Well, okay, number 2 you have to know. Like, I have to go into the second thing you have to know about Disney Descendants, aside from it is the descendants of heroes and villains in Disney movies across the Disney pantheon. It can be anybody. Number 2, nothing is logical.
No.
Logic out the window. You will not be able to enjoy it if there's some logic in this. So, like... He just said there's a fruit cart in movie 1. Movie 3, they're like, I've never seen a piece of fruit. What is this fruit?
There's no fresh fruit on the island in number 3. But in the first one, I swear, there's a fruit cart.
Yeah,
you know?
Because the more evil kids have to steal from the fruit cart.
Yeah. So, you know.
So anyway, it's a fun series. Like, the music is super fun. The kid actors are really great. Like I said, I like it because they always have, like, Broadway stars that come in and do it, which is really fun. I mean, it's very campy. It's very silly. The first one focuses on Maleficent, sends her daughter and her friends to this new program of rehabilitating villains on the good side.
Yes.
But only they're kids, because you can change kids, but you can't change adults. So.
Yes, it's basically, well, the kids didn't do anything really wrong
so they can come over.
to us. They've just grown up in a bad environment. So let's try to teach them and see if they can be good.
Nature versus nurture. You know. And so they bring them over, and Maleficent is like, okay, you need to steal this magic wand from the fairy godmother so that we can, like, get off the island and stage a coup. And the main protagonist, Mal, Maleficent's daughter, and they're all kind of names like that. Yeah. So they're all like, Maleficent, Mal, the evil queen, Evie.
Yes, the evil queen. Apparently that's the only name she's ever had. The evil queen from Snow White is Evil Queen.
Yeah.
And her daughter is Evie.
Yes. And so, the main protagonist, Mal, falls in love with the Beast and Belle's son, Ben, and says, no, we can't, we're going to be good now, we can't be bad, even though we've been bad in the past, and broke rules, and, you know, did shortcuts, now we're good. And so she ends up defeating her mom, and turns her mom into a little lizard, and she keeps her mom in her room.
Yes.
And that's how movie 1 ends.
Yes.
Movie 2 opens with little lizard still in her room.
Yeah.
But, you know, they go to the school called Oridon Prep, where she was like 16 in movie 1, 17 in movie 2. It's a real, you know, Disney logic with ages and stuff like that. And so then they decide, like, all right, Mal, you decide you're going to be good. You're going to be, like, groomed to be the next queen, or, like, a lady in waiting, some high official thing. She's like, I don't know if I can do that. I feel like I'm a bad person. So she goes back to the Island of the Lost and tries to figure out who she is, and all of her friends kind of chase after her. And there's a new introduction of a new evil villain, because the evil villains, number 1, aren't evil anymore.
Yes.
So it's like Ursula's daughter named Uma.
Uma.
And there's really great songs in it.
Played by the girl who was the lead in Disney's Ant Farm, and who is one of the daughters in Black Lightning.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Really talented. China Anne McClain.
Yeah.
Really good. And so she comes on the scene, and she decides, well, I'm going to try to do what Mal couldn't do. I'm going to try to, like, take this prince and take the kingdom. Only she has kind of better intentions than Maleficent. She's like, I just want to free all the kids who want to be free.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to stage a coup, but it is really unfair that you just get to pick and choose who comes off the island. some of us want to come off the island too, but you're taking too long. Like,
Yeah.
you're rock say. So anyway, she has this like big battle where Mal turns into a dragon and she turns into a squid, and they have a big fight. And then Uma swims off, and then Mal is like, okay, yay, we did it, yay.
And that's the end of the second movie.
So 3 is now, okay, well, we're going to do this program where we're going to release 4 more kids. And, you know, it's been 2 years, and Mal is now engaged to Ben. She's going to be queen. And number 3, I'll just say the third movie is this big allegory for the border wall and xenophobia. And you're just like, well, dang. Yeah. Hey, Disney. I mean, it's pretty relevant. It was just a couple years ago. So I was like, you know, the director is Kenny Ortega. He's really huge. He choreographed all of Michael Jackson's stuff, and he did Newsies way back in the 90s. He's been, like, a really great director. I think he also directed Hocus Pocus. I could be wrong.
I believe so.
But anyway, he's really great. He's been with Disney a long time. So anyway, like, I can kind of see why this was like a big thing. Like, where you can't just say people on the other side of the wall are evil. Yeah. That's not the truth. There's evil everywhere, and you have to be nuanced, and you have to, you know, kind of police it as it comes up. You can't just proactively lock everybody up. Yeah. But here we are. We don't like to get political, and then we end up getting political. So anyway, really impressed, like, with the third movie. So anyway, there's now a new villain, and she came from the good side. She's Sleeping Beauty's daughter, Audrey. Because Aurora would have a daughter named Audrey. You know.
Who Audrey has been a villain through the first 2 movies. But she was more of a villain, like
a cheerleader villain.
Yeah,
like, oh, mean girl.
She was a teen comedy villain, not a traditional Disney, like, I'm going to destroy the world villain.
Yeah, but now she is. She stole all of the magic stuff and is making people fall asleep and turning them into stone and turning them into creatures. And though you could tell when this happened, though, because the copyright on Happy Birthday was decided, that's unconstitutional. Anybody can sing Happy Birthday. So Disney's like, we're singing it!
Yes, they include Happy Birthday. And when we watched it when it first premiered.
Yeah, really.
As soon as they started singing it, I was like, I cannot believe it. Disney has all the money in the world. They could have used Happy Birthday in all of their movies. They were probably the only company that could have afforded to use it anytime they wanted for anything. Oh my.
Your Siri's going off.
I don't get it. But I can check the I was like, I cannot believe it. Disney has all the money
Siri?
for Birthday and all of their movies. They were probably the only. If you like.
Hey Siri. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So anyway, they could have paid for this song anytime they wanted to. Only after the copyright was found to not be valid in a court of law did they go, oh, sure, let's make it the central point of this movie.
Yeah, and it's on the album, so now you're paying for Happy Birthday.
Yes.
So anyway, we find out that Mal's dad, you know, her mom was Maleficent, her dad was Hades.
Yes.
So there's this whole weird logical canon that's just...
Actual, literal... Greek god of the underworld, Hades, because, hey, Disney did do Hercules in the 1990s, so he is a Disney villain.
Yep. And anyway, Hades ends up coming and saving Audrey from, like, her evil ways, because what ends up happening is Mal, like, knocked her out and was like, oh no, she's dying, we need to save her soul. And of course they get Hades, who takes everybody's soul to give it back.
Well, it's essentially, Hades is... We're given the idea that, apparently in Bristol, Siri is going off too. Apparently what it is that all of the magic that's used in the series has kind of like a set of levels. Like there's fairy godmother magic, and then there's Maleficent's magic, which we're told is virtually unbeatable. There's Evil Queen's magic, which apparently is even more powerful than Maleficent's, although Maleficent turns into a giant dragon, so I don't know how that works. And then Hades is like the top level magic because he's literally a god. So he has to come save her because the magic that's destroying her is like the most powerful human magic, he's the only person who has magic that can defeat it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So it's a fun time.
Yeah.
Music's great. I love the music so much. That's why I kind of got into it.
There I go, bringing logic into this again.
Yep. So anyway, and the big moral of the story is, of course, because if you're fighting xenophobia, Disney style, the bridge is restored between the island and Oregon, and any person who wants to come off the island can come into Oregon.
Yes.
So
and we end with a great big dance party on the bridge, and then Thor comes running down the bridge, going, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry, but I just started Ragnarok," and Led Zeppelin starts playing, and there's a possibility I may have dozed off at that point.
Yeah. But if you have seen Ragnarok, it is kind of literally the same bridge,
yes.
like when Immigrant Song and comes down. So we always like to imagine that. But there's like a lot of like really fun things. Like this one also has like, what is the mythology of love's true kiss? Mm-hmm. They ask that question. They have a number where they run out of movie, and so then they show you a clip of what just happened 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, it's an entire song that's all about basically Mal being like, "Oh, you know, my story, this is my once upon a time," and everything. And you have flashbacks
from movie 1,
from movie 1, movie 2, some flashbacks from the beginning of movie 3, which, okay, not perfect, but fair cop, okay. And then literally the last clip in the memories is the scene before the song took place. Yes. The scene before.
No.
I have only seen one clip show that beat that. Mm-hmm. And that is Saved by the Bell in season 4. Did a clip show where they ran the exact same clip, starting and ending at the exact same time, twice in a row, as 2 separate memories from 2 separate characters, and nobody noticed. It isn't a joke in the script that they did that. They just did it.
So yeah. Very, very fun. So my pitch...
Sorry, I got us off track. Yeah, I got off track. I'm
getting
sorry.
us on track.
Yes.
So I would do a very wicked royal wedding. Right? Because I want to see Kristen Chenoweth, and I want to see Cheyenne Jackson, who plays Maleficent and Hades respectively, have a really fun Broadway moment, and try to like deal with villains and heroes marrying and all that fun stuff. The sad thing of why I don't think they'll do any more, they have a cartoon series as well, which does not follow the same canon as the human series, which is weird, but hey, is one of their young actors very unfortunately had a chronic illness and died, who played one of the main 4 characters. So Cameron Boyce, who played Carlos, who was the son of Cruella de Vil, passed away during the last shooting, the last film, and I don't think they'll bring it back. I mean, they could probably pitch it as he's gone off to become a vet and save dogs, because that's kind of his thing, is he was always scared of dogs, now he loves dogs.
Because this is one of those franchises that, typically with a franchise, if you lose an actor, you recast. Mm-hmm. But this is one of those franchises where the fans really, really associate the characters with the specific actor. You'd probably get a lot of outcry, I'd imagine, even from the production team, if you tried to recast that role.
And they're all kind of older. I mean, like, that's kind of the problem that you have with these types of things as well, is, you know, obviously when they were all filming, they weren't all 16. You know, there's definitely laws in Hollywood that would prohibit any minor from working the long hours that you would have to in kind of this type of Disney film, particularly if they were 4 leads. So I think, like, a lot of the stories that they've kind of followed has kind of gone a bit more with their actual ages, which are in their 20s now. So I think that'd be a bit harder to kind of convince them to come back, because I know, like, Dove Cameron, who plays Mal, was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She did Light in the Piazza in Los Angeles, and I feel like all of them are trying to do their, like, Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato and Miley Cyrus jump to, now I get to do adult media.
It's very interesting. I think that they could get the cast back if they want. Because a lot of them are still they're moving on to their more adult roles, but they're very linked into the Disney infrastructure still. You know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is Marvel. It was on ABC, all of that. But even so, you know, for a 4th installment, which is what you're pitching today.
Yes.
And we're going to get into what her 4th installment would be. But for a 4th installment, you could take it to the stage.
Good.
Which, if you take it to the stage, nobody expects you to have the original actors.
Or, not only like take it to the stage, but Disney does really well, not so much with their 2 Broadway stuff, but they have a whole host of junior stuff. So, like, before Aladdin was ever on stage, they always had an Aladdin Junior. They have a Hunchback Junior. They don't really have Hunchback on stage yet. They've had a lot of, like, touring productions to figure it out. So I kind of feel like you could probably pitch a Descendants Junior, which that would be the target group, is getting the elementary, middle, and high schoolers out for the summer, doing this type of production, and probably being very excited that they got to play Mal or Jay or Carlos or whoever.
Yes. So. Jay, by the way, is Jafar's son.
Which, like, they all have, like, really weird, like, villainous things, and they're like, oh, you steal things, and that's why you're bad. And everybody's like, but Aladdin stole things, and that's why he was good.
Aladdin was the thief. Jafar was the vizier.
Yes. So, so I think having the royal wedding would be, like, really exciting, and I think it would kind of allow the 4 new characters that kind of came on in the 3rd movie to really shine a bit more, because they didn't really do much, unfortunately. I think that they set them up for success in a future role, and that didn't really happen. But I also had kind of like the immediate idea, since they've opened the aisle to Auradon, and that was the big scary, right? You know, villains are coming to Auradon. But having lived in a few big cities in my time, I was like, what if it's just as dangerous of Auradon going into the aisle? And we're going to talk about gentrification, and we're going to talk about people who can, like, you know, slumlord it up and buy up property and make it nice. Or, you know, maybe touristing to see, ooh, look at all those dirty people.
Which this is not that out there for this franchise.
They always have a big moral, like a real life moral.
Because the 3rd installment you mentioned is largely about the wall. There's also a good bit in there about white privilege, that, you know, the point is made of, like, oh, when one of your people goes bad and tries to kill everyone, you're all about, we must save their lives now. When one of us does something bad, you're like, throw them on the island. Yeah.
So I think that that's how I would go with it. The other, like, relationship that I would really love to see develop is there was a same-sex relationship that I told Glenn when we watched the final dance number, I'm like, everybody else is paired boy-girl, but not that couple. There's a reason for it. But Disney never said anything, because that's kind of like, sorry, Disney. It's kind of Disney's MO right now, where they're not going to tell you, hey, this is a family, this is a relationship, but they just let people kind of find it on their own and say, oh, well, that was kind of nice representation in Finding Dory, or what was Onward?
Onward, yeah.
Or oh gosh, what was the other big one? The Toy Story 4. I think there was a couple. So.
But yeah, and in this case, it's basically kind of a couple of kind of jockey bros, good-natured and friendly, not like bad guys, not bullies or anything.
And like what they bonded over was really cute, because it's like one of the guys is just like really, like, he's the good guy, but he's like really suspicious of all the bad guys, and so he hangs out with this bad guy who's just like, life is great, look at how green things are and how nice things taste, and let's try things and go places, like, and like the good guy realized, wait, I've been free for like 3 years now, and I didn't go places. I didn't do anything. I want to hang out with this guy where I can see the world in a completely different way. And they get very excited being together and wanting to hang out and go places, go on vacation and see the world. And I was like, that's cute.
And by the end, it's literally like the good guy is being like, you know, I can take a gap year before I begin university or something like that, and we can travel the world together. And
said, yes.
everything that a fanfic ship is made of, basically, yes.
And so I would love to see their relationship develop as well, because I think it would be really cute that they go all over the world and they're like, we're going to make homemade granola and dried fruit or something really artisanal small batch, right? Because it's not a gentrified neighborhood if you're not doing artisanal small batch, right? So I think it would be really funny if they came back and they're like, what happened? Like, we thought we could return to the island of Lost, but now it's different. It's completely different. There's no property to buy. There's nothing to sell. There's, it's all been eaten up by, kind of these, like, slumlords, essentially. Kind of what you see a lot with, like, I think real estate now. Like, I mean, as much as we love where we live, we complained for a really long time about paying our rent because it was very, very high for what you got. And we do live in kind of a desirable area, but the nicer it's gotten, the harder it's become for lower and middle classes to do well here. And one of the reasons why I think our area has been spared a lot by COVID-19, to be honest, like we still had a lot of struggles with, particularly with nursing homes and stuff like that. But if you're rich enough, you move far out because you're going to have a farm. You're going to have horses. You're not going to live in the city because you need room. If you're poor enough, you're going to live in the town over because you can actually afford more house. You're going to live in Waynesboro. You're going to live in Staunton. You're going to live somewhere not here because that way you can have a yard or something. Whereas like here, there's not a lot of property. It's all really expensive. I'm kind of lucky because I got in on the ground floor with this condo about 10 years ago. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure we would not be living here. And I think that is a real experience of what people experience not only in big cities, but, like our experience. And so I think it would be kind of an interesting thing to kind of talk about to like little kids of like who owns culture and what does like gentrification mean, and, have those types of like things like, I think you have a really good dialogue about cultural appropriation. It's like, yeah I'm wearing fingerless gloves because I'm going to be a villain. Yeah. You can't do that. That's our culture.
This is something Bri pointed out today as we were rewatching the third movie, is that literally every villain kid has fingerless gloves. None of the good kids have fingerless gloves. And then at the end, one of the guys who's from the Isle of the Lost, I was like, now you're freaking me out, because I'm like, wait, he doesn't have fingerless gloves. He has a pair of wrist bracers. Does that mean he was wrongly imprisoned all this time? And I think the character is supposed to be like Gaston's son, too.
Yes. So, I think that would be a really fun plot. You could explore, like the 4 new kids. You could explore, like, all these relationships. There's also, like, a relationship that was really heavily hinted at, the rehabbed Audrey, daughter of Sleeping Beauty, and Harry, Captain Hook's son.
Yes, the son of Captain Hook, who is... It should be said.
Scottish.
Scottish, but also a very bad guy.
Yes, we're just like, I don't think he's a reformed at all. He's going to steal pockets. He's not interested in being good.
He does not have a moment of reformation in this show. He's dedicated to the villain kid lifestyle.
And because Audrey's also very that mean girl, that cheerleader, I was like, that would be just really fun to see, the bad guy being bossed around by this, like, very pink cheerleading girl.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right, so a couple of questions about your idea. All right. So, royal wedding.
Yeah.
I presume we're going to have some sort of complication with the wedding.
Of course.
At the center of this.
Of course.
All right.
Like, and I think that's also kind of like a fun thing to kind of talk about, like, with cultural stuff as well. I don't know, like, one of the things that I think that there are a lot of differences about weddings. The best cultural difference I can kind of talk about that I know of from, like, white person wedding, because I can't talk about everybody else's, right? I'm sure if we had a very lovely special guest to come and talk about like what their culture's weddings would be, they could do this more justice. But the thing that I know about is the cookie table. Do you know about the cookie table?
The cookie table?
You know about the cookie table because you went to Nikki's wedding.
Yes.
So my family's from Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has a thing called the cookie table. And so you can't just have a cake. you have a cake and a cookie table. And the cookie table is all your friends, all your relatives either have to buy or make. I mean, traditionally make, but we sometimes buy a ton of cookies, because at the end of the night, you give all of your guests a box to take home any cookies they want to take home. And it's supposed to be like, we're giving you sweet life together. It's a very lovely cultural tradition from Pittsburgh, because back in the day, like when working class families would get married, I'm pretty sure this is when everybody would like make a cake, and probably the cake wouldn't feed everybody, and so there was cookies. I don't know the whole tradition. I just know like it is a very regional thing.
Oh, we have a question of what kind of hand does Captain Hook's son have? He
But
has both of his hands, but he carries a hook like Captain Hook's.
It's so, and like he threatens people with it, but then sometimes he just like leaves it on the grass. I was like, we don't know what purpose the hook serves.
Yes, but he has both of his hands. He hasn't lost his hand yet.
But like I said, and he's Scottish.
Yeah.
The other thing when we were rewatching it today is I said, I know the actor playing Belle and Beast's son is Australian. Why didn't they just let him be Australian? That's like charming and romantic for a prince.
And I was like, well, you can't go giving the princes personalities at this stage.
Yeah. But there's just, logic has to go out the window. You just have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it. It's high camp, lots of colors. I mean, like, you just see why, like, little kids and me like it.
I'm sure that if they genuinely were going to do a Descendants 4 as a movie, Harry would lose his hand somewhere. It'd suddenly turn into Sharknado,
But, like, I think, like, for the wedding, you could say, well, this is a villain tradition, and then say, well, you can't do that. Like, like, we're going to have, like, the best royal wedding. We're going to, I almost kind of see, like, when I had this idea, it was the whole Harry and Meghan Markle and stuff, and so I was like, ooh, a lot of controversy there. And then the other thing I really wanted to do is, so the very first movie is Cinderella's fairy godmother is teaching the evil kids to be good. And it's stuff like, what should you never do? You should never, like, steal candy from a baby. Like, it's stuff like that. It's for little kids, all right? It can't be like, you should never murder somebody. Yeah, well, no, it's Disney for little kids. So I was thinking, what could be the equivalent of an evil teacher? Like, I have to teach these, like, good kids how to be evil, so that it's like Defense Against the Dark Arts, right? If I don't show them the evilest stuff, how do they know how to, like, fight evil and recognize evil? And so I thought from Sword in the Stone, you could get Mad Madam Mim.
Yes! who would have to be played by Natalie Palmides, because that is the role she has always wanted. But yes, I would...
And I really want to write her so bad, because I just think it would be so funny, because she always has the best lines, and she speaks in verse, and I could just see her being like, all right, now, tie him up!
Yes, I would pay to see Mad Madam Mim in the Descendants universe, yes.
And then I think that gives, like, the fairy godmother who's been in all three movies a little bit of, like, conflict as well, to be like, stop ruining my school!
So now, here is a question, because Mad Madam Mim, I don't see her as, like, the big bad of the story. Do you have a big bad that you think, or...
I think that weddings are stressful enough. I don't think you need a villain when it comes to getting a hero and a villain kid married.
Okay.
I think the big villain has to be a little bit conceptual, right? I mean, if we could think of a good guy who could be that land developer, like maybe like Monsieur LeBouf or something from, Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, they're not evil, but they're not good.
Yeah.
And maybe talking about, like, why it's bad to use up resources or kick poor people out of their homes or,
Like you said, little conversation about cultural appropriation versus appreciation sort of thing.
And I don't mean to, like, make, like, the one rich guy I can think of in a Disney cartoon, like, a bad guy. But it kind of has to be. And, like, the other thing that we talked about before this as well is I really like the idea, and this is not part of the same thing. So I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. So this is not part of Descendants for a very wicked royal wedding. But I'd really love to see, like, a Detective Pikachu take on Descendants as well, where you get the Great Mouse Detective, like, Oh, they were wearing fingerless gloves. That means they're bad. And I think that would be really funny. I don't know why I think that that's so funny to me, but I just really love that idea as well.
Well, and let me just say, from our perspective, the question of cultural appropriation has been part of this since the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Because in the very first movie, there's a scene where they do a hip-hop dance for the parents of Be Our Guest. Which I was sitting there going, it's the Beast and Belle's son. And all of the, kids of the princes and princesses dancing around singing Be Our Guest. They haven't told us that any of the furniture from Beauty and the Beast is in there.
Yeah, but the second movie, Lumiere is there.
Yes, Lumiere does.
So we know Lumiere's there. So I just like this thing, Lumiere's back there. And then
you didn't even ask me.
It's just really funny too because it's like they could sing, they could dance. After all, miss, this is France. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's Ordon. But logic goes out the window. You just have to enjoy it. You just have to sit there and be like, bright colors and fun and really fun songs. So I mean, this is really kind of my love letter to Descendants as a whole franchise. I think it's just the best. I get so much enjoyment out of it. I hope that everybody really loves what they're doing, and I hope to see more from it. I don't sit and watch the cartoons or anything like that, but, I mean, they need to release a Descendants box set. I don't want to buy movie 1, 2, and 3. I want to buy it all together, and then I want them to buy my ideas, and I want to have movie 4 that you would then have to buy without the rest of the box set, so that then I can make some of the profit from it.
You can tell that she's been watching me collect movies. That she's like, you have a box set of all of the Jurassic Park movies on Blu-ray. And I'm like, yeah, but then they released 2 more.
Yep.
But yes.
And the only place you can buy it is UK region. Which I'm like, they don't love you like I love you.
Okay. I just want to say one moment that I really want.
Yeah.
I feel like very early on you should do the whole turning Maleficent back human so you can have her.
Yes, we need her there.
Yeah. But I would love the moment of, you want to invite her? You know what she did the last time she showed up for one of these things. And Mal just being like, so how did the whole thing with her begin? Nobody invited her to a party.
Yeah. And I was like, I just really want to see, the only picture I've ever seen all 3 of them together, so Dove Cameron, Kristen Chenoweth, and Cheyenne Jackson, was when Dove Cameron was doing Lightning Piazza, and they both came on the same night, and then they took a family picture, and they posted it to Instagram, and I was like, I was freaking out! I like that all over the place! So I really want to see it real on the movie thing, and I want to have, a little, duet or trio. A girl's gotta have dreams, I know this is not a very big dream. I have dreams for myself, but this is a small little, we're not in the worst timeline if it happens.
Okay, so, another question, since we've already said, no big bad this time around. It's the stress of the wedding is going to be the main complication. Any characters from the Disney Pantheon who haven't had kids in this show yet, where you want to be introduced to their kids?
Oh, gosh. That's really hard because a lot of them do get introduced and you just kind of forget because they're all just, jammed in there, right? We were talking about, Mulan's kid was in, I think 1 or 2, and her name is Lonnie.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of room to have more of them. I think we talked about, Princess and the Frog. I'd love to see some Princess and the Frog in there. I really like that movie fairly recently. I don't think we've seen anything from, Ariel or
we
Eric.
Haven't. No.
So, maybe. Especially, now that, I guess, Uma's out and being a pirate. I don't know. That could be fun. What else?
That would be fun, would be Ariel's daughter rebelling against her parents by becoming part of Uma's crew.
I think the one thing for me, just because there's this one moment in the third one, is they're like, guys, Hannah's turned to stone. We're all like, who's Hannah?
Yes.
And I'm just like, I don't know, like the daughter of Cinderella's mice. So I kind of always joke, like, I want to see all the anthropomorphic type of characters just have, like, random human kid.
Robin Hood's son, that sort of thing.
So that's why I said, I was like, I want, like, the Great Mouse Detective to be, like, Detective Pikachu, and I want, like they would just be really funny if, like, Scrooge McDuck's human kid. Yeah. I don't know.
Although, I was just thinking, no, go right ahead.
No, I was like, I think that there's just, like, a lot of, like, stuff for that to kind of, like, come true. I was like, there aren't really much things, like, now that aren't really for real Disney stuff. Maybe, like, we talk about Brave. Brave is very underrated. Like, we watched a ranking YouTube from Watcher. We kind of told you guys about their YouTube channel last week. And they're, like, ranking Pixar movies. And we're like, Brave is great!
Yeah, Brave is a Pixar movie.
And nobody does anything with Merida except that when Ralph breaks the internet, she was, like, a gag because nobody could understand her Scottish brogue.
Yes. But I was just thinking, though, I'm like, that... What I just said about Ariel's daughter running off to become a pirate... That's where you have your cultural appropriation, is Ariel's daughter has decided she's part of Uma's crew. And then you have also, like, the, like, poverty tourism sort of thing. Of like,
that's good.
Of like, you're not one of us. You can go back to your mother anytime. And she'll, you'll be living in a castle again.
And then I'd really love to see...
We have to stay on this boat.
Like, she comes out at night and she has all the silverware wrapped in her hair. And she's like, isn't that what you poor people do? That'd be great.
Mom always talked about, like, before she became a princess, one of her favorite things was a fork.
Yeah.
Human princess. She was princess of the sea, but,
But I think, like, that's what makes it so much fun, is you can pick anybody, and it doesn't even have to be, like, super creative names. Like, it just be, like, Ariel's daughter, 80. Because it starts with an A.
Yes.
So I feel like there's not a big push to sit there and make it make sense. I think it just has to be fun, and you just get to have these moments of, like, I just want to see this fun moment happen, because you'll sit there and be like, oh, this is awkward. Their parents fought.
In the beginning of 3, when they're announcing the 4 new kids who will come to to Auradon with them, 2 of the kids are Smee's twin sons. And their names are Squeaky and Squirmy.
Yep. And I was like, his name is probably something like Stephen Smee. He's just a normal sailor. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Glenn's like, nope, it's Squidly.
Yep, he's Squidly Smee. He's Squidly, and he named his kids Squeaky and Squirmy. There you go.
But I think that's what is such appealing to me, because you just need to have fun. And I think that there's just so many things, like with COVID and with being furloughed and all this other stuff, like, life is sometimes not really fun. Mm-hmm. You try to be very optimistic, and you try to have a positive attitude, and I feel like I've gotten a lot of advice, people just saying, like, well, but if you just think positively, you won't have a bad time. And I'm like, I'm allowed to have a bad time. But that's why I like the idea that maybe we'll have this renaissance of the 20s, the 1920s, where you can just have escapism. And we can just have a Disney Descendants that's just fun. You just see cool clothes and fun dance numbers and toe-tapping songs that you love to sing in the car. Or for tiny children who are really confused of how you know that song. I get a lot of enjoyment from that. And so I would really love to see kind of this escapism and this fantasy kind of come out of this, where, we're adults and we can deal with our own problems and we can get through with the love of our families. But it's also just really nice to have an hour and a half of fun and then get back to it. Like, your problems are still going to be there. And I feel like, for me, that's why I loved writing for such a long time, and I've loved performing for such a long time, because I like giving that gift to other people. And since I don't do those as much anymore, like, all I can do is do it when I'm with a patient and I'm drawing their blood, or if I'm doing customer service or an election officialing thing. And you want to be that light in the darkness for other people. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's, like, what these Disney sequels are. I just think they're super fun. It seems like everybody had a good time doing them. And I just have really just positive memories of them. Or if you're in a bad mood, you can listen to them and you have a really positive message and everybody's friends. And I mean, for me, that's kind of like why I have not given up a lot on childhood media, is because it's not that I'm yearning for a simpler time, but I do like it. It's kind of the last big thing that gives people hope. Because I think sometimes when we get to the adults, we're like serious and complicated and shades of gray. And there's really only like a lot of cartoons or children's media where it still can be like, we're going to have this one thing where there's a button and it ends and this is great. Yes. And so it's a very like anxiety reducing type of thing for me to say, I just want to watch Descendants 3 again and remember myself how much fun it was the first time and laugh at how silly it is. And hopefully there's a Descendants 4 and hopefully I get to write it or somebody else will write it and it'll be very, very good. I am sure, but I would love to write it.
Disney, hire this woman.
Please, I'm a nice girl. I will do a good job. I will not curse a lot. I won't write any in the script. I am sure all of you curse when you're writing scripts, but not in the script. I promise I will do it. And I'll bring Lola wherever she is. You'll love Lola. Yes. She's practically a Disney princess.
Horace sleeping right off camera over there.
So that's it. I mean, like I said, I think I have a lot of good ideas, and I think if I were to write the script, it would first and foremost start with the wedding. Mm. But I think there's a lot of other ideas to toss in there that I think would be super fun and just kind of end where, you know, we all have to learn how to get along and live with each other and, you know, not take too much. Mm-hmm. And that's something we're definitely living through COVID right now. Glenn was trying to find isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah. I've got some electronics that need cleaning, and I just felt ridiculous looking at trying to buy isopropyl alcohol and being like, there are people who genuinely need this, and they can't find it, and I'm just out here being like, I want to clean a video game controller.
So we'll just wait. We'll be patient. But I think that's kind of like the lesson I want to have come out of COVID is that we're all one big family. We're all going to be okay, but we need to, you know, take our fair share, and we need to work with each other, and we need to, you know, be respectful about how other people exist in this world and, like, listen to them. Yeah. So, and I think that fits in really well with the Descendants universe as well.
Yes. And Jenny loves the idea. So, thank you.
I feel like this is probably going to be one of the things that I do end up writing, and, you know, Disney does not solicit material, so I can't send it to anybody, but just, like, for my own satisfaction, because I just think it's such a fun idea.
Post it up on Archive of Our Own. You know?
I just, you know, it's fan fiction at this point. Yeah. I have no shame. I will perfectly say, like, my only fan fiction foray will be in Descendants.
All right, so let's see now. Coming up, we're doing another stream on Saturday, as usual.
Yes.
2 p.m. Eastern Time at Saturday. You can join us. Yes, Jenny says you can send it to her. She would love to read it. Yeah, so
love you
got to do that.
Yes.
And this Saturday, it's my turn to pitch again.
Hey.
It's our 2 weeks of Disney. So this Saturday, I'm going to be pitching my ideas for making a stage musical out of Hocus Pocus.
I'm so excited because I have ideas too.
It's one of my favorite Disney movies from growing up. It's one of Bri's favorite Disney movies. It's this classic. There's not that many. There's not that many Halloween movies, really good Halloween films. It's basically that and The Nightmare Before Christmas, which everyone wants to argue if that one's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie. But if you're not getting into actual horror movies, Halloween movies are kind of few and far between.
Yeah, I would say, like, for me, I've never been a big horror buff. I like cute and creepy. So it's not, like, I like thrillers. I like a lot of things that are horror adjacent. It's just the whole body horror in particular and just, like, cruelty. I was like, I can't take it, my little heart.
But Hocus Pocus, definitely a movie that I've loved since it came out.
Just fun.
Still have a huge crush on Sarah Jessica Parker. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And then next Wednesday,
I get to do my other sequel. So my other favorite franchise, and I talked about this last week, is Teen Beach Movie. Love it. Like, to the point that there's this, like, silly song that's called What It's Meant to Be that I'll just, like, sing it to Glenn in the car. It's just real, like, it's just we'll get to it, but it's based on like the 1950s and 60s kind of surfer movies with Annette Funicello and all that stuff. It had Barry Bostwick in the first one, so I mean, like, it really is like just a resurgence of this, and I really like Jordan Fisher as an actor, and he kind of got a start in that, and that's really fun. And there's like another fun song that's like. It's the boys and girls number where it's like, boys like me, girls like me. Blah, blah. I wish I could share all this music with you because it's better than I'm doing it justice, but we'll talk about that next Wednesday.
You know what? It's all Disney stuff. And if you have Disney Plus, which Bristol, I know you have Disney Plus, you can see all of these things on there.
Yes.
Descendants, all of the Descendants series is on there. All of the Teen Beach Movie series is on there.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus is on there. And the show that I will be doing Saturday after this coming Saturday, which I just decided today. We had it as like a blank in our schedule.
Then we'll pick it later.
Yeah,
where it's later.
Where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. You've got the best Disney franchises there for an adaptation. I've got Hocus Pocus. I love Hocus Pocus. And I finally decided that the Saturday after I do Hocus Pocus, I will be pitching my ideas for a stage adaptation as a musical of The Absent-Minded Professor.
Yay! It's going to be fun.
Yes.
We're really excited. Like, we were talking for a really long time about bed knobs and broomsticks, and one of my friends that's a costume designer said actually it was being premiered in Chicago, so that's already a thing. So we were kind of at a loss. So this is really exciting.
Mary Poppins is already a stage musical. Mm-hmm. It seemed like anything that I came up with where I'm like, I would really like to do a stage version of this, Disney has already done it.
Or they're planning to do it, and we'll see it very soon.
But Absent-Minded Professor, to my knowledge, hasn't been done yet, so...
It's going to be fun.
Yes.
We're really excited. This has been like a pretty big highlight of kind of getting to this point. And then we're going to kind of reach the point where we need to create more material.
Yes.
What I know we talked about last week, looking at some more YouTube. We'll definitely do that. Yep. But yeah, we'll put our brains together and we'll work on kind of coming up with more ideas after like the next week. And kind of keep going into the summer because it looks like we're all going to be stuck inside for just a little bit longer. We just need to be a little bit more patient. Yes.
So, all right. So until Saturday, we love you. We love seeing you guys every time we stream. Be sure to stay home if you can, as much as you can. Maintain your social distance. Wear your mask when you go outside. I know it's frustrating. A lot of people aren't doing that, but do what it takes to keep yourself safe, and you know what? Take care of yourself out there.
Yep.
Because we're not there to take care of you, all right?
Yep.
Love you. All right. And where are my controls? Where are my controls?
Siri took them. Bye, Siri.